You're super excited because you've gotten your hands on the car in United States. Maybe it's a brand new car, maybe it's just a used car that I had, just like I had. Or perhaps you are renting a car with all your guys friends and going on to a road trip, or maybe it's a couple trip, or maybe it's a solo trip. I don't know. But in all that excitement, insurance is probably the last thing that you're worried about, right? You're probably picturing yourself in that road trip, thinking about the Instagram reels that you're gonna click and stories that you're gonna make, maybe vlogs you're gonna make, photos you're gonna take, all the different spots you're gonna go to, and you are very excited. And the last thing that you will worry about is insurance and the coverage that you have, and especially you'll skip the car rental insurance because you feel like you have a fancy credit card. But here's the thing, understanding what your insurance really covers and what it doesn't will help you save a lot of money and a lot of trauma. And this video is inspired by 5 different stories of students from my Job Hunting Accelerator program, where they told me they were into accidents and it has caused them a lot of trauma and money and a lot of different stuff. So that way I am collecting all this information and making this playbook for you, whether you rent a car or own a car, understanding which car insurance and how to go about your car insurance and how does this impact you and what happens when you run into a car accident, what do you need to do. This is a playbook for you, so hopefully you watch the full video. By the way, if this is your first time on the channel, my name is Yudi, and on this channel we talk about everything related to studying in United States, building a successful career here, and living your life as an immigrant. And that includes buying a car insurance and understanding car insurance and how the accidents work and what you need to do when you get into an accident. Let's start with first one, which is owning the car. Alright, so when you're buying a car insurance, there are 4 key types of coverages that you want to really think about. Number 1 is liability coverage. What does that mean? This is the most essential and mandatory coverage that you need to have, which means if you run into a car accident and it is your fault and there's a damage to the other person's car, you are liable to pay for that expenses to fix the car. And so for that, your insurance should have liability coverage, and not only just the expenses for the car damages, hopefully nobody's injured, but if someone is injured, then you're also liable to pay for their medical expenses. Well, not really you, but your insurance. So you have to make sure that your insurance is gonna cover that. At some point I'll probably make another video, but if you are at a fault when you are into car accident, just know that your insurance premiums are gonna go higher because now you have a bad driver score and you become a high risk driver, and so for that insurance wants to charge you more premiums every month. So let's talk about next one, which is collision coverage. Now this is an interesting one. So if you just have insurance which just covers liability, and if you run into an accident, and you are definitely liable to pay for the other people's, but what about your car? Your car will not be covered if you just have liability coverage. So that's why you need collision, which means if you run into it, your car is also covered in the collision coverage. But then you have something called comprehensive coverage. This is the most important coverage, and this is the one I have, and I highly recommend you to get this one. Here's why. Let's say you get into a car accident, right? You got into a car accident. It's not your fault, not fault of yours, but your car is damaged and the person who was at the fault, their car is damaged. But here's the tricky part. What if they don't have car insurance at all? Or maybe their car insurance is expired. And that's what has happened with some of our subscribers who told me the story. Because they had comprehensive coverage, it is like going to cover you. It is like a comprehensive, meaning whether you are at fault or they are at fault, you are covered. And not just that, you're also covered from theft, vandalism. Remember Tesla incidents when Elon Musk was with Trump, like people's Tesla was getting vandalized, or natural disaster or anything else. Comprehensive coverage is going to cover you. This means you don't have to pay out of your pocket, but you have to remember something that is very important when it comes to these insurances, which is deductible. This term is very important to understand. Deductible is anything that happens during the accident. You have to meet that amount. Let's say you have set my deductible range is going to be $50. That is what I have, right? So if I got into a car accident and if I'm at the fault or not at the fault and I have to, cover it, my insurance has to cover it, the only money that I have to put in is $50. After that, the entire expenses are gonna covered by my insurance because I have deductible of $50. But what happens, most people end up choosing $500 or $1,000, which is again standard. Why do they do that? Because the higher the deductible, lower the monthly premiums. The lower the deductible, higher the monthly premiums. And this will change once you have been a driver history for a longer time. And the fourth coverage that you don't want to forget about is uninsured motorist coverage. This protects you if you are in an accident caused by a driver who doesn't have a insurance. Again, this already kind of covers in the comprehensive, but you want to keep in mind that your comprehensive does cover this area as well. Okay, now that you understand 4 different types of coverages, you also understand deductible. Let's talk about what exactly is it going to cover. You have to understand the numbers, right? You will see 100,000, 300,000, 500,000, and then it'll be medical expenses, and there will be bunch of other categories, and we'll have numbers in the front. That is the numbers that you are saying that I want $100,000. Let's say you run into a Ferrari and it's your fault. Now, to repair a Ferrari, it's going to cost $200,000 because the plan that you have chosen is only $100,000. You have to pay extra $100,000 from your pocket because your plan was only supposed to cover this much. So again, make sure that you have a significant coverage, at least for the liability part. And collision part, or like your damage, like your car worth, right? Like if your car is only $2,000, then I mean, even if it gets total, it's only $2,000, so you don't need a lot of money. But then you want to make sure that you're also covering a medical part, and this is where it gets slightly trickier because you also will have health insurance which will kind of protect you, but you do want to make sure that is also part of your consideration when you are understanding what exactly it is covering. And again, the premium that you have to pay every month for your insurance depends on how much coverage do you want. Like the more coverage you want, like $500,000 or $1 million, the higher the premium will be, and opposite is also same. So you want to find that healthy balance. Now in my case, I have $500,000 which is liability, and then about $100,000 for my car because I know my car is not worth more than $100,000. So even if it gets total, all I'm gonna get is like maybe $30,000 or so, maybe less than that, but you get the point. Okay, here's another thing that you want to think about when it comes to coverage. Let's say you are doing a road trip, the famous road trip Route 66, which is from one end of the United States to another end of the United States. This is a very common route that a lot of people do road trip. It goes through multiple different states. Is your insurance covered in all the states? Let's say I'm in California. I'm covered in California, but what if I drive to Seattle, or maybe what if I drive to Arizona? Am I covered really in Arizona? And maybe you are, and your insurance will say like, yeah, if it's a temporary, we will cover you. So clarify the definition of what is temporary, because some insurance will not cover you in other states, and they will want you to add on the extra states that you're going to be driving for that month. So make sure that before you start that road trip, you cover entirely all the United States or all the states that you're going to be visiting. Okay, now that you understand how the insurance works and what policy you need to take, let's talk about what happens when you do get into a car accident. Hopefully this doesn't happen, but if this happens, how do you navigate the insurance process? How do you navigate the claim process? What do you really need to do in the car insurance? Again, if this happened in India, I know what is going to happen. Like people are going to fight and all of that. In United States, it's very sophisticated. Like you really don't fight because your insurance is going to fight for you. So you just, again, assuming it's not the worst case scenario where you are injured. If you're injured, probably someone will call 911 and they'll take care of you and you'll be in hospital, etc. But hopefully that doesn't happen. Like I'm praying that doesn't happen. But let's say you are conscious. So first thing will happen is you will want to put it in the side emergency stop where the vehicles can pass, and you and the other person who was involved in the accident, you both will go on the side of the road and you will come out. You will want to document. This is where you want to take photos of your car, the other person's car. You will exchange the insurance card. Ideally, if the other person is at the fault, they just accept that they were at the fault. You don't have to argue a lot that, oh, you were at the fault and it was your fault. You don't have to do that, right? In most cases, hopefully it will be just resolved, but by where the accident was. Like if it was rear-ended, then it's the other person's fault, and it again really depends. But 911 will really help in hit and run case. If your car get hurt, hit and then they just ran away and they never stopped, that's a hit and run case. So that's when you do want to call 911. So the cops come and they take all the report from you, and that report will help you with your insurance claim. So now that you have taken the information of the other person's driving license, the insurance card that you will get, the photo of the whole damage of your car, this is when now you make a call to your insurance company that, hey, I got into car accident and I was not at the fault, or the other person was at the fault. I have that information. Let me know what you need to do. And they will give you an adjuster. It usually claims adjuster or like an inspector, and they will take care of it from them. Typically, if it's a mutual thing that, yep, I was at the fault or they were at the fault, the case is super simple. But when there is a disagreement, they will look at the police report, they will look at the lights and the camera. If there were cameras installed, they will try to understand who was at the fault, how much speed were you going by over speed, etc., to determine who was really at the fault. But you again have to just stay your ground and just make sure the story is consistent, and ideally you're just not lying and just saying the truth. All right, like we've learned that if you have comprehensive coverage, you are protected. Regardless if you were at the fault or they were at the fault, and if they don't have an insurance. So let's say if they were at the fault and they have a car insurance, then their car insurance will cover everything that needs to be covering, everything, that expenses, etc. But if they didn't have an insurance, then your insurance will cover because you have comprehensive coverage. So again, this is why it is important to understand what kind of coverage you have. Don't always choose the lowest, cheapest one, because things happen, accidents do happen. And again, you also want to make sure that you understand, if it's your car, you are the owner, and if you give it to your friend, it doesn't matter, you are responsible. Even if they have the insurance or not, you're still responsible because the car belongs to you. So make sure you make all these wise decisions, right? If you have further question on this topic, please let me know in the comment section. Also, let me know what do you think about this type of topic. I want to cover more lifestyle topics of an immigrant, an international student in the United States. So let me know in the comment section. Okay, now is the most important part of this video, where you are renting a car, because obviously not everyone is going to have a car, and especially if it's a summer break, you are very excited to go on a road trip. This is what happened with one of our students in job hunting. They 4 friends went on a road trip and they rented a car, and maybe it's a winter break or it's a summer break or spring break, whatever. You're renting a car to do a road trip. Now there are going to be multiple options that you can rent from: enterprise, Avis, budget, whatever. Doesn't matter where you rent it from. Every single place is going to say, hey, you need to have a rental car insurance, and we have a package for you. And their package will cover multiple things, right? Like liability, collision damage, personal accident coverage, and all of these things. And you're like, what is all this? I don't want it because I have the fancy card, like I have Amex Platinum, or I have Venture X, or I have Chase Sapphire Preferred or Reserved or whatever. Or I have Costco City card, and all these cards basically say that we will cover your rental car insurance. You don't need to take extra insurance because we'll cover for you. But are they really covering? And by the way, if you are interested in credit cards, I am very good at this and travel points and travel hacking and all of this. Let me know if you're interested. But let's kind of quickly understand some different words that you will hear. Collision damage waiver. This means if you crash the rental car, this will cover the damage to the rental car. But this will not cover the liability, meaning the other person's car if you are at the fault. Liability insurance, we've already kind of understood. If you are at the fault, then this insurance will cover their property and health. Personal accident insurance is almost like a medical insurance. If you get hurt in the car accident, then you're covered. Or personal effects car coverage, which is again like if something gets stolen, bags, laptops, stuff inside the car, again you will have it. And if you have this renter's insurance, you are covered. But now let's ask the question, what does the credit card company really cover when they say we cover rental insurance? A lot of credit cards, especially the travel ones, the ones that they say that, hey, we got you, they cover free collision coverage for rental cars. You have to understand what this means. They don't tell you all the details upfront, which means if you are renting a car and let's say you are at a fault, and collision coverage is going to cover your expenses for the car that you damaged. The rental car is covered, but if you are at the fault and the other person's car is damaged, you have to pay from your pocket. Credit card will say like, nope, that's not what we cover, and they're not going to give you all these details up front. You have to read into it. Sometimes you should also read, they might not cover specialty cars like luxury cars or super long rentals. Maybe it's only available for 15 to 20 days. Maybe it's not going to cover trucks. So you want to make sure that you understand. Sometimes it won't cover different states. So you want to understand, is it going to cover the state that you're going to rent in? And another thing, if you end up having a card but you didn't use that card for that rental car, you may not be covered by it. So you also have to make sure that you use their card for renting the car so that you're covered. And this is what has happened with one of our students, where he had nice fancy card, Amex card, which said like, oh, we'll cover. Apparently he found out that he owes $15,000 because he was liable and they didn't cover the liability. Here's the most tricky part, and the one where you would never even imagine like, okay, I didn't even know this existed. First provider, second provider. Here's what it means. So one of the credit card is going to say, hey, we are your second provider. So let's say you have a rental insurance, and if they didn't cover the full damage, don't worry, come to us. But if you didn't have a rental insurance, you directly went to the second provider, they're going to say, sorry, we are the second provider, we can't help you. You need to have first provider, then only we can help you. See, there's a subtle difference you didn't even know until you actually go into an accident and now you're asking the credit card company to cover you. So make sure you understand the fine print and the coverage, etc. My personal recommendation, even though I have the best credit cards and the best personal car insurance and all of it, I always take rental car insurance. Especially, it's going to be $20 to $30. It's a peace of mind. You want to take comprehensive car rental insurance, especially if you're an international student. Don't mess with it. Like, you don't want to end up owing like $10,000-$15,000 of expenses you don't know versus just spending $20 or $30 per day. Like, it's totally worth it. Now, if you do have your own car insurance like a AAA, which is what I have, this is not sponsored. By the way, I'll probably make a video on what type of car insurance you should get. AAA is the one I have. It's the most expensive one, but it's gonna cover me from end to end. Again, you want to check and make sure what does your insurance cover if you rent a car as well. Call them and ask them like, hey, I'm gonna rent a car from this company in this state, in this city. Am I covered, or do I need to get a rental car insurance? Just making that one call is gonna save you so much more money. Now, I know there might be some independent insurance companies as well, like Alliance and Bonza and Insurance My Rental Car. There are these non-owner car insurance as well. All of these are available. You need a VIN number, and after you have rented, you want to make sure that you actually spend an hour or 2 hours before the insurance kicks in and all of that. I would just avoid all of that hassle for saving $20, $30, $40 a day. If you are 4 friends, just split it in $10 per day and you're good to go. Okay, so this video has gotten very long. I didn't intend it to be that long, but I hope this was extremely helpful. If you have any further question on any of this topic, any different ideas that you want me to cover, travel hacks, credit card hacks, please let me know in the comment section. I genuinely want your feedback. If I'm going a slightly out of niche where I've been talking about immigration or job hunt or studying in United States, this is like a lifestyle thing. If you're interested in these type of topics, I have a bunch of them and I've been in United States for the last 11 years. So let me know in the comment section. I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, keep smiling, keep hustling. You gotta hustle every single day. Stay safe and make sure to cover yourself with insurance.